Alexander, and welcome to Dish About the Dish, where the foods we eat tell the stories of our lives. Joining me today is author Carmen Cook. So Carmen, hello, thank you for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Nice to see you virtually.
I know, it's been way too long.
Way too long. So, Carmen Cook, what is the most memorable meal you've ever had?
You know, you said you were going to ask me that question, so I've been thinking for like the past week, trying to come up with that and going, this is deceptively difficult to come up with one memorable meal to talk about. But I think it had to be on our honeymoon when we went to Victoria and Albert's. So our fancy dinner, we had to dress up. You know, there was a dress code. We felt very shishi. It was the first time I'd ever been called Mrs. anything by, like random person. So that was really lovely. And everybody at Victoria and Albert's was so sweet and like fawning all over us and everything. But it was a 7-course meal with wine pairing. So literally it was one of those, they bring out the teeny tiny little meals. And at the start of it, you're eating the whole thing because you're going, I'm starving. I haven't eaten in 3 days because we just had our wedding. And I'm like, yeah. But then by the 5th course or so, you're going, oh my God, I'm so full. How did those teeny tiny little things fill me up? But that was an amazing night. The food was phenomenal. The coffee was really good. Everything about that meal was fantastic. So that I think, has to be my most memorable meal.
And where's Victoria and Albert?
That is at the Grand Floridian at Walt Disney World.
In Walt Disney World.
Florida. Yeah.
That's right. I'm like, it sounds familiar, but where was that? So do you remember what any specific dishes were there? What your amuse-bouches were? What the main course was?
I'm trying to remember because I just thought of that meal this morning when I was like, I'm sure I still have the menu stashed away somewhere, which would be so much fun to pull out. But I know there was like a crab cake type something with some type of a sauce. I don't remember what it was. It was green, like a little mint sauce probably. What was the protein? I remember I declined the lobster because I'm not a lobster fan. But there was some type of a tenderloin steak, something or other, it was so much fun. And it was, trying to remember, the cheesecake bites, which Scott, my husband, couldn't have, of course, because he's lactose intolerant. So they brought him like a triple layer chocolate cake, a slice of that, which of course I also wound up eating because that's what I did. And their coffee service, this is what I remember the most about it. The carafe for the coffee was see-through, and it was one of those, there was a drip. So you put like the steno underneath it to heat it up. And then the coffee would actually like heat up and you can see the filtration down into the water, the percolating of the whole thing, which was really funny. We went back for our 15th anniversary. The coffee was not as good as I remembered it. The presentation was still phenomenal, but I remember having the coffee then going, I seem to remember it being much better.
I wonder if part of it is you remember it being better because it was that first time you had it, and the second time it didn't live up to expectation, or it could be their water quality changed. Who knows?
It was a little bitter this time. The food was amazing, but I remember that going, I was so looking forward to that coffee because it was really rich and lovely and just didn't do it like the second time, but that's okay. Wah, wah.
Yeah. So was that the first time, on your honeymoon, was that the first time you'd had like a 7-course meal?
It was that.
Because I know you're from Montana. I don't know if they have 7-course meals in Montana.
No, and at least in my family, we made fun of those. It's like you would have a 3-course was not unusual. Yes. A 5-course was getting really fancy. But even when you had like a 3 or a 5-course meal growing up, they were still like full plates of food.
Oh yeah.
So having the amuse-bouches of, small little delicacies was such a different experience from what I was expecting growing up. It was amazing and lovely. And the food was so rich and fabulous, of course.
Were you nervous going into a restaurant like that?
No, actually, I don't know why. Probably because I backpacked through Europe.
You're a badass.
Because I'm a badass. I'm like, whatever. Because I backpacked through Europe for 6 months before and was completely open to trying almost anything. I drew the line at haggis. After they explained what haggis was to me, I was like, yeah, no, done. Aww. That's not happening. And I think it was more the way the barkeep, gleefully explained stuffing the intestine full of, I'm like, no. But walking into Victoria and Albert, again, knowing I had to be in a full gown, my husband had to be in a jacket, it wasn't nerve-wracking at all. And I think part of that too is they were all so nice to us. So sitting down, and I didn't really have to make any decisions. Like, I remember I had to pick this or that, but it wasn't like, okay, pick your 7-course meals. It's like, okay, to start, do you want this or that? Oh, that sounds good.
That's good. Excellent. So do you think, if somebody who looks at an experience like Victoria and Albert and is gun shy about doing something that they feel maybe they're not classy enough or they don't have the experience to, what would you say to them to help give them the courage to try something new and adventurous, even if it's just a 7-course meal, or 2-course meal?
Whatever it is, really, it's, if you're not sure, ask. The people who are there working an event like that, I'm assuming that you go there and then decide, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Ask. People are so willing and they want to share their expertise and what they are doing and what they love. Really, if you are just looking for something to do and go, oh my gosh, I've never done that and I don't know if I'm fancy enough to do something like that, just do it. Just, don't. There's no harm, no foul. It's totally fine. If you don't like something, it's fine. You don't have to like everything all the time. Don't be a dick about it, obviously. but don't, just try it, because you never know what you're going to like and what the experience is going to be. And I would say if you have a wine pairing with it, you don't have to drink every glass of wine. That's the other piece.
So maybe you shouldn't drink. Just maybe you shouldn't. Sip. Go, that's the experience.
And then keep on going. You'll have plenty, trust me.
Have you ever tried creating your own multi-course meal at home? That's
not to the same extent.
Thanksgiving.
Yes. Thanksgiving, holidays, stuff. We've done, especially when the kids were little and we would want to try a whole bunch of different things. We would do several things like that. Not as fancy, not as, detailed or any of that. It was just, this sounds good and that sounds good, and putting it together. I'm pretty go with the flow in the kitchen. I'm more about, the memories and making the memories and having the moment than necessarily the actual food. It's the environment of getting there versus what you're having on your plate.
I do find that also. What was it like the first time when someone said, oh, Mrs. So-and-so? What did you...
I think I started laughing. I was so taken aback and so caught off guard because exactly, who are you talking? Is my mother-in-law standing behind me? Because like most young people, I couldn't change my name to have my airline tickets be in my new name or any of those things. So it was, getting there and Mr. and Mrs. Cook. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's us. We're grown-ups now. That's so crazy. And then, when we went back for our anniversary, our 15th anniversary, they were really lovely. My husband had told them that we were there on our honeymoon. And so they were excited to have us back. The chef was actually the same chef as the first time. And he came out and talked to us. And it was really fun. It was a great environment.
Excellent. So 2 your books. So you write contemporary romances set in Montana. Do you incorporate what they eat into their stories as far as their favorite little foods? Oh, this is their go-to snack, they're stress eaters. Do you fit those into your story?
To a degree. Yeah, to a degree. Some of that is per character. I currently am writing a character who is famous, world famous person. So she doesn't eat. hard. She loves to like prep food. And then she eats like 3 bites and that's it. So like that's a thing. In the first book, Coming in Hot, Thanksgiving happens in that book. So of course there's some mention of different foods that they're preparing or feasting on throughout that.
Are there foods that you, in your experience, eat and feast on that you put in there, or did you come up with something completely different?
Oh no, yeah. Everything that I put in there is like from my own recipes. I'm not that creative. I've got, the super sweet potatoes that I make with pineapple and...
Oh, that's sweet.
It's super sweet. People who don't think they like sweet potato casserole tend to like my super sweet potatoes. It's a thing. Or, the galat, which I make a peach and blueberry galat, but for the holidays, I've made an apple with candied cranberries, which is super fun.
I like apples and cranberries. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's really lovely and nice. So that's talks about in the first book. They go to the pub a lot. One of the characters owns the pub. So they have pub sandwiches, French dips and steak sandwiches and different things like that, flatbreads, stuff that I make and enjoy. All kind of trickles through in there.
It's funny how I know like there's some authors when they write, they forget that their characters like need to wear clothes and they need to describe what clothes they're wearing. Right. But also conversely, they forget that your characters need to eat and drink at some point in time. They're social. At some point, they'll have to be social because unless you're writing a book like Castaway,
somebody's going to do something.
They're going to have to somehow survive. And how do they survive? Well, they eat their foods, and are your characters eating for survival, or are they eating for pleasure? And I always find what an author does to show that. Are they doing a conscious effort, the author, to show more characterization through the way their character eats and drinks, or is it just throwaway?
Mine is more as I'm thinking about it as we're talking, a lot of conversations happen around meals, while one of them is cooking, or in the book that I'm editing right now, that'll be coming out in May, it's, the girls all come together and they make fajitas, and it's just sort of an impromptu girls' night. And they want details of what's happening, what's going on with you. So they all get together and make mojitos and make fajitas.
Oh, the time we used to be able to do that.
I know, right?
Makes me so sad.
So fun.
Makes me so sad.
But yeah, it's a lot of, conversations over cooking and eating.
That makes our memories.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of stories, so you just had a book release. Tell us what story you just had come out.
Yes. Coming to Sapphire Creek was part of the Color Theory anthology, which is a charity anthology that will be available for a short time. I don't know quite how long. It's a short story with 17 other authors, and the proceeds go to benefit San Antonio high school students who want to go on to a higher education. So scholarship funds for them.
So if it's on the market, scoop it up.
It's on the market right now. Scoop it up.
Scoop it up. And then your next Sapphire Creek book is out.
Is Coming to Call. It's another shorter story. It was in a charity anthology. I got the rights back. I beefed it up quite a bit. And that will be coming out in April. And then Coming Home will be the next full length, and that's coming out in May.
Excellent. Oh, look at you, Miss Productive in this time.
I know. Well, COVID hit my productivity last year, so I'm making up for it this year.
Excellent. And so we will have to have you back to make some of the galettes or any wonderful items that you have talked about. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank Carmen again for joining us today, and I hope you all had a good time too. So join us again when we dish about the dish. So please hit the subscribe button, the like button, all the buttons down below, because we would love to have you join us again, and it really does help out this channel, especially since it's a baby channel. So we do hope to see you again sometime soon. Thanks, y'all.